Hi there YouTube, thank you for joining me on another vlog. It's a dreary December day, but not going to let the weather beat us, and I'm hopeful of getting some nice pictures today. The light's very flat, so don't have to worry about nasty shadows and things like that. However, it does mean we haven't got any amazing light to play with today. I don't really have a plan other than to photograph some trees again, because I love photographing trees. And I'm heading down into a predominantly oak forest, as you can see, or oak wood. You can see those oaks behind me. Nice twisty, gnarly, ancient oaks with lots of moss all over them. That's what I'm looking for. And let's see what we can get. So quite often when people are relatively new to woodland photography, like I am, there's a danger of falling into the trap of viewing the trees as trees, which sounds really stupid, doesn't it? Yeah, it does. Anyway, what I'm trying to say to you is, don't just view the trees as something that just grows out of the ground with branches on. Try and allow the trees to fuel your imagination, and try and look for the sort of intertwining relationships between the trees as where they grow. And you'll more often than not find that in a naturally growing wood or forest. Plantation forest is a bit more difficult because obviously they've been planted by humans in a specific order, and they are usually the types of trees that just go straight up out of the ground and are a bit boring. But when you're in a natural woodland like this, you can see lots of intertwining sort of almost relationship between the branches and the features in the trees. And very often the best features, the most interesting features, are not at the base or from the trunk upwards, but actually up in the tree canopy in the branches. So that's what I'm looking for today. I've seen a few trees that look quite interesting with some interesting forms and shapes. So I'm going to get the camera out and start having a look through the viewfinder and see what we can see. So this is an example of what I mean. I love the way this tree kind of grows out of the bank and then just leans straight across. It doesn't go straight up at all. In fact, it's almost horizontal, and specifically the way the branches kind of spread out like tentacles. That to me is really interesting, the forms and the shapes. And a lot of people would just see chaos there, a sort of messy chaos, but that's not what I see. I see something quite beautiful, so I'm going to set my camera up and see if I can actually capture it. Well, I decided that the shot would probably work better with the long lens, so I could cut out. There's a couple of features on the either side of the frame that I didn't want in it. So yeah, I'll put the long lens on. So on the right of the frame we've got a little bit of ivy that's growing up. So on the left hand side of the frame we've got a little bit of ivy that's coming into the frame from the left, from this tree on the left here. And then we've got lots of sort of grey silvery branches from some smaller birch trees that are growing around. We've still got quite a lot of red around from the bracken and dead leaves. But the main feature obviously is this kind of tentacle-like branches from the tree that's growing out of the side of the bank. I bought the 5D Mark III out with me today. Now let's just have a look. So yeah, I've got f11, ISO 50 as usual, and that's given me a 2-second exposure, and that's underexposed by 1 stop. And there we go. And that's lovely and sharp all the way through the frame. Everything's nice and sharp. I'm just going to underexpose it a little bit more actually, just to beef up the contrast a bit. And we are actually losing the light a little bit now. It's getting quite late in the afternoon. So I'm probably only going to be able to grab a couple of shots before the light beats me and I have to go. But that's the first one anyway, as you can see now. Okay, so I'm just going to grab another shot while I've still got a little bit of light left, but it's fading pretty fast. But this is just another demonstration of how I try to invoke my imagination, if you like, when I'm photographing trees. Let me just show you what I'm talking about here. So I'm going to film the back of the camera with my phone. Okay, so here on the right of the frame. Okay, so on the right of the frame, let me just brighten that up a little bit so you can see exactly what I mean. So on the right of the frame here, we've got this kind of almost Geiger-esque ivy sort of crawling and climbing the tree, and then we've got this more kind of uniform tree on the left there, and then through the middle of the frame, so we've got those two trees kind of framing the shot, and then we've got another sort of tentacle like scene with these branches sort of intertwining and almost as if they're reaching out somewhere. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of insight, if you like, into my thought process when I'm looking at these trees and deciding how and why I'm going to photograph them. Just looking at this scene, I'm wondering, I've already taken a shot, by the way, so I've got one in the bag just in case the light's too faded for this to work. So my exposure is now up to 5 seconds at f11. So it is getting quite dark now. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put the camera in portrait mode. I'm going to see if by including some of the branches in the top there of the canopy, it improves the shot in any way. I don't think it would, actually, looking at it. Not sure. I'm going to take it and then I can mess around with it in post processing and crop it if necessary, because that introduces quite a lot of sky into the shot, which I don't want, because although I don't mind getting sky into my shots, I think in this instance it's not a good idea. Let me just check that I'm level. Yep. This is one of the things, by the way, that I'm loving about this ball head is and the tripod, that we've got a lot more adjustment to play with in terms of the leveling and framing and everything. It's much easier to work with. So I'm going to try that and see how it works out. Let me just double check my focus, because I've moved the camera. Always important to do that. So what that's enabled me to do is it's enabled me to include a little bit more of the tree on the right that has these interesting vines growing up them from the ivy. What I will have to do is crop the top down to get the sky, and already I don't like the look of that, so I might not do that at all. Let's just switch it back. Let's switch it back, recompose. And this time, instead of going long to include more of the tree, I'll go wide, because obviously as you go wide it brings it up from that way as well. Now, if I can do that, I'll have to crop quite a bit in from the sides, but I won't have to crop off so much from the top. So again, check focus, because we've moved the camera. There we go. Right, so the final image I decide on, I'm going to show you now. Well, I hope you enjoyed that rather short little video. Came out quite late in the afternoon. I should have come out a bit earlier actually. The traffic was pretty ropey getting here. But it was nice to get out for a couple of hours. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope that gave you a little bit more insight into how I go about shooting woodland, and maybe it'll be useful to you. Please leave a like and subscribe if you haven't done already. Leave a comment and I will definitely reply to it. Thank you very much for joining me, and I will see you in the next video.